Raiders of the Lost Ark. Short round. I can play short round. No, you know what? It's funny because the two auditions.
Don't.
The two jobs that I didn't get, that turned out to be important movies that I really wanted. One was Stand By Me, River Phoenix's part, Chambers, and right, Chris Chambers is his name, right? And then Chris O'Donnell's part in Scent of a Woman. And as I look at it, nobody else on Earth should have played the River Phoenix part, but River Phoenix in that movie. And Chris O'Donnell, like for the reason I'm so right for Rudy and he's not, he's so right for that preppy, prep school look, just the lines of his body, the way he carries himself, it's just, I'm not right for that. So it's an interesting thing where those were two jobs that I was so hungry for and wanted so bad because I knew they were good, important pieces. I didn't get them, but if I could go back and change it now, knowing what I know now, I would.
Here's an equally interesting question. What about the jobs that we've seen our friends do that we would have given our eye teeth to play and yet know that they did it better? For me,
what are the race?
For me, Jerome Craddy's performance in Farinelli, where he plays Handel, the musician, to me that is one of the finest performances I've ever seen. And I would have given my eye teeth to play it. And I tell you, I couldn't have got anywhere as close to it as Jerome did. It is a matchless performance in a brilliant film. It really cuts your heart out. It is just magical. Do go and see it if you haven't seen it. Get it on video.
And they said last question. So we'll do two more. The lady in the back of this one.
My question is, now that you're up here and done Ninja Turtles, and I was wondering how you guys got the job.
You did Ninja Turtles?
I don't know what she's talking about. You weren't supposed to bring that up, but go on.
It might have been a little apparent because of the Ninja Turtles shirt, hat, and tie around her neck, but that's just a guess.
I still can't tell them apart.
What was the question? I got my first roles by making my first $1 million. That's how you get a Bentley. You know what I'm saying? A Bentley. No, I'm just joking. That was a bad joke. Okay, it was a bad joke. Jeez, rough around.
I had a friend ask me today, what's your favorite car that you own? I was like, between the two of them, the one I own and the Prius and the one my wife leases to get the kids to school, I don't know what it. He was like, well, no, the Ferrari. I'm like, yeah, man, it doesn't.
That's a different business. That's not our business. We're not.
You were Donatello, right? Who are you?
I was Donatello. Thanks for getting us back on track. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so mine was actually they just offered it to me, but. At that time, nobody really knew what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was. There were some, cult type people from, the 60s that remembered the original comic book and all that stuff, but it wasn't really in, the mainstream, common, thought process at the time. It wasn't something that was on people's minds. Nobody even knew about it. It wasn't in our awareness. And then, they brought me this terrible little independent movie, which was half made and really bad special effects, really cheesy. They did it on a super ultra low budget for that time, and it was not finished. It was not edited. Everything looked terrible. And they go, "Hey, we want you to lend your voice to this for scale." They were like, "For scale, please. What do you think?" It's for the kids though.
Scale's the least amount of money they can pay an actor who's in the union.
Right. And this was on a career standpoint, I was doing pretty good because I had 3 movies out with my name above the title. But that said, I was like, it's for the kids, it's not really the kind of thing I'd want to do, but I see what they're trying to do. And I guess since it's like, I'm not getting paid anyway, I'll just kind of do it as like a fun thing, whatever, for the kids. Like, it's for the kids. And that was really it. Like, I really wrote it off as just like, it's one of those side gigs. I'll make a couple bucks, you know, whatever. And then it ended up being the largest grossing independent film in the history of cinema. Who knew?
That's why when the geek kid walks up to you with this, you know, camera and, you know, you never count out where the next thing that is going to connect with people comes from. For me, I think they wanted me to do it. I was doing a Disney character, Oso, special agent Oso. That's this little guy's favorite, I'm sure. Yeah. So my name was kind of like, I think, in those circles, on those lists or whatever. And they wanted that, so I went in and auditioned for it, had a ball, playing Raphael, instead of saying, you know, it's all part of the plan. I was like, yo, dude, what's going on? It was fun. So we're about to do a big splash at Comic-Con in a couple weeks. We're rolling out with the folks. They're expecting to make $250 million in toys before the show premieres in the fall. I mean, it's.
But now that you've said it here, I'm sure that they don't need to go to Comic-Con because they've just got the scoop.
Yeah, you guys just scooped Comic-Con. All right, now lady in the back and then we're done. Yeah. What film are we most proud of that we've invested a lot into? Raiders of the Lost Ark. This has to be Lord of the Rings. I mean, it has to be. We spent years doing it. I've never worked so hard in my life. I didn't think I'd make it through. So I literally thought I would die. You know, 6 to 8 weeks. It was non-union. They would do 17-hour days. You have, usually in a union film, you have turnaround, 12-hour turnaround, meaning from the time they wrap you on one day, the time you come back is 12 hours, so you can get like an 8-hour night's sleep and go out to dinner with your family and like whatever. Read, sleep, vegetate, watch TV. This one, you get the Hobbit feed off, and they'd be like, okay, you gotta come back here in 8 hours, or 9 hours, or 10 hours, and you just, day after day after day after day after day, I looked in the mirror at one point all by myself, and I thought, oh my God, like you can't quit. There's no quitting. There's only, you know, and I had this like panic attack looking at myself in the mirror, like I don't know what's gonna happen. And what I realized is that you are capable of a lot more than you think you are, in terms of sleep, in terms of energy, in terms of work ethic, and there's, all kidding aside, John and a whole host of incredible actors, incredible people. The work itself, the source material, Tolkien's material, is really important world literature that is it's affected a trillion people, I'm sure it will, for as long as literature exists. So to be able to, for 2 years, carry the torch for one of the more important characters in the piece was a privilege. Yeah.
So far.
I would agree with you, actually. I think Lord of the Rings. I don't think you realise that Peter Jackson actually made a film industry. He created an entire industry in New Zealand to service this film. And it seems to me that his achievement in doing that is of the first order. I do not know of another successful writer, director, producer who actually started from scratch. There was no film industry in Wellington when he got there. And anyone could direct a four-hander. A four-hander is a film with 4 people in it. 6 weeks, 2 cameras, 1 camera even. Anyone can direct it, and if the script's good and the actors are good, make a reasonable job. But when you have something that is so inchoate as Lord of the Rings, just to get that into with the complexity, I mean, the armorers, the costume designs, the groundbreaking computer graphics, the groundbreaking motion control, in every single area. It was of the highest quality that you would only find in 1 or 2 of the great film capitals of the world. And he built it and made it there, and then had the nerve to try and do this film. Had the genius to get the money to put it together. I cannot tell you how extraordinary this is. This is a one-man sort of galvanizing an entire...
And that you were able to sink yourself into and dedicate yourself to as an actor. So for me, that character was a guy named Norman Forrester, and the movie was called The Birthday. That's it, backwards. The movie was called Birthday. And it was a little Spanish film, which was all Spanish cast and crew, but shot in English. And I played a character that was very far removed, like completely removed from myself. But that wasn't even the part that made it so difficult. It was the fact that we accomplished something that had never been done cinematically before, which is that it was a movie that took place in real time. So from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, there's no breaks in the movie in between. So like, you don't like close the door and go off somewhere else and come back a couple hours later, like you walk through the door and they follow you, right? Like a reality show. But the other thing that made this cinematically different and a departure from other films was the fact that my character was in every single shot of the film. Not just every single scene, but every single shot of the film. So every time it started on anyone or went to anyone, it had to either start, stop, or somewhere in the middle was me. Which meant you're on the set every day, all day, no breaks, no stand-ins, no other actors. I mean, it's you having to deal with it. And my wife was pregnant, ex-wife, was pregnant at the time with our child, and we were living in Barcelona, Spain, and I'm a vegetarian, and neither of us were smoking, and everybody in Spain smokes and drinks. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and they really don't even know what the word vegetarian means. So as a human being, I was having a lot of personal tension anyway, but then on top of it, to have to completely depart and do this character, which was like this wacky, different voice, different face, different everything, nervous tick. I mean, it was a huge departure. So that was the one I'm most proud of, and that coupled with the other one, which is kind of a toss-up, is the very big kind of everybody knows it, Lost Boys. Again, it was a character that I really felt was very removed, and I entirely engulfed myself in it. And when we got to the third one, again, back to the ex-wife, I literally just found out that we were getting divorced 2 weeks before I had to leave to Africa to shoot for 3 months, and I was executive producer and the lead role, and I was supposed to be there with my family, and then as it turned out, I was there with my assistant and my security guy, which is not very family-like. So anyway, I had to dedicate myself to that. Again, it was very, very hard pulling myself. So to me, it's always about when you're trying to put yourself in that embodiment of that character, and your headspace is somewhere very different, and removing that selfishness of the persona and becoming the emotion and the embodiment of this character, and forgetting about what your real life drama is. So there you have it. There's my answer. Thank you guys. That's it.